own extramarital affair, he actually had a whole secret second family at home in Indiana. So that alone was tough for him. Dan Burton was also the guy who said we should really step up the war on drugs by, in his words, parking an aircraft carrier off the coast of Bolivia so we could then use the aircraft carrier as a platform to go crop dust the coca fields. And there are a lot of awkward things about that proposal, but the kind of non-starter part of it is that Bolivia does not have a coastline. Bolivia is a landlocked country. If you want to park your aircraft carrier off the coast of Bolivia, that would mean like parking it in the middle of Paraguay, right? Dan Burton. Dan Burton. Ultimately, at the end of Dan Burton's career, the sort of coda on the end of it was when he was found to have taken illegal campaign contributions from the Pakistani intelligence service. Wow, Dan, didn't know you had it in you. So Dan Burton kind of petered out, and he's out of Congress now. He kind of evaporated into Republican irrelevance. But his political hitman, the guy who he let take the fall over the edited transcript scandal, the guy who he picked up after the CBS scandal caused President George H.W. Bush to call him the lowest form of life, David Bossie, that guy, he's done great. He's turned his political activist career, in which he is famous for getting caught, getting blamed, and getting fired, he has turned that into a full-time, lifelong, quite remunerative career of working to tarnish the legacy and the reputation of Hillary Clinton. In the 2008 presidential campaign, it was David Bossie who produced a 90-minute anti-Hillary Clinton campaign ad called Hillary the Movie. That ended up being a very important thing in American jurisprudence because the legal fight over whether or not David Bossie's anti-Hillary Clinton movie was an ad, and the legal fight over where it could be run and how it could be run and how it would be paid for, ultimately, that fight led to the Citizens United Supreme Court case, which quite famously gutted campaign finance laws and created the super PAC universe in which we now live. But it all came from an anti-Hillary Clinton 90-minute long attack ad made by David Bossie. David Bossie has made it his entire life's work to try to invent scandals and sell scandals about Bill and Hillary Clinton. He's the guy who went to Arkansas and hounded the family of that woman who killed herself in the 70s to try to turn that woman's death into something that could be pinned on Bill Clinton. He's the guy who doctored audio tapes and transcripts that, in fact, exonerated Hillary Clinton in a different fake scandal. He edited and selectively released those tapes to try to make it sound like they proved her guilty. He got fired from Congress for that. I mean, this guy has been denounced by former President George H.W. Bush for his filthy tactics. He has been called the lowest form of life by former President Bush. He's a man whose organization, George W. Bush, wrote to 85,000 Republicans telling them to stay away from this guy and please don't give him any money. That's who Donald Trump has just brought on to be his new deputy campaign manager, David Bossie. According to the Washington Post, David Bossie will be making a positive, substantive case for Donald Trump's presidential campaign based on his economic policies that are designed to help regular working class. Ha! Kidding. No. According to the Washington Post, David Bossie will be in charge of, quote, crafting attacks against Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton. It will not be a stretch for him to figure out how to do that. I mean, it is one thing to go back and hire people from the 90s who have a track record of successfully going after Hillary Clinton. I mean, we probably should have expected that the Trump campaign would go back and mine the 90s for those characters. But what I don't think anybody expected was that the Trump campaign would go back and scrape the bottom of the barrel to find the specific people who were disgraced, denounced, and fired, not just for doing it, but for doing it wrong, for making it up and for getting caught while they did it. New deputy campaign manager for the Trump campaign. Buckle up. Get behind the sneeze guard. This is probably going to be disgusting.